What's up guys, it's Kristen here today to do the I Dare You book tag. I'm sure like most people who have already done this tag, I have no clue why it is called that, but I've seen it go around booktube. It wasn't tagged by anybody, but I thought it was just some really fun rapid fire style questions. So let's just jump right in. The first question is, what book has been on your shelf the longest? For that one I would probably assume my children's / elementary school books, which were mostly composed of Full House books, but also I really loved Amelia Bedelia books. They were my heart. Question 2 is, what is your current read, your last read, and the book you'll read next? This is not the simplest question in the world for me, a person who reads many books at one time, but the last book that I finished was Career of Evil by Robert Galbraith, the third book in the Cormoran Strikes series, and then my current books, I am this close to finishing The Return of the King, and I'm also just about at the end, about 20 minutes left of the audiobook for The Stone Mattress by Margaret Atwood. I also just picked up Bones and All by Camille D'Angelo, so I'm about 100 pages into this one. Clearly I cannot stick to one book at a time, and then my next read will probably be the audiobook for the 5th season by N.K. Jemisin. The next question is, what book did everyone else like but you hated? I don't even know where to start with this one. I feel like there's quite a few, but the first ones that come to mind are The Martian and also Uprooted by Naomi Novik, which I actually do still have on my shelf because it's such a gorgeous cover, but yeah, was not a fan at all. Question 4, what book do you keep telling yourself you'll read, but you probably won't? I'm actually pretty ambitious when it comes to my future reads, even if they are crazy long or what have you, that somehow I will get to them one day, but I don't know why I keep The Man in the Iron Mask on my shelf and I just won't get rid of it. I know I'm not gonna get to it, partly because I would have to read the rest of the Three Musketeers series, which is just not gonna happen. And let's be honest, I probably only picked it up in the first place because of the Leonardo DiCaprio movie. Then question 5, what book are you saving for retirement? Honestly, I feel like if there's a book you're willing to wait like 50 years to pick up, I really don't think it's worth it. Question 6, last page, read it first or wait till the end? I'm a little bit confused by this one. I honestly did not know that was a thing. I mean, I used to do it when I was really little, but yeah, that doesn't make any sense to me. I don't know anybody who actually does that. Question 7, acknowledgement, waste of ink, or interesting aside? Honestly, for the most part, waste of ink. I don't usually read them. Then question 8, which book character would you switch places with? This is a surprisingly difficult one. I think I tend to read a lot of darker stories, so actually switching lives with one of the characters would not be ideal. I have always had this massive fascination with time travel, so maybe one of the characters from Arcadia by Ian Pierce. That would be pretty interesting. And do you have a book that reminds you of something specific in your life, a place, a time, or a person? There are definitely several of those, but the first that pops in my head is The Secret Garden by Frances Hodgson Burnett. I specifically remember this being the first chapter book I had ever read, as we used to call them in elementary school, and I read it on my own, like in my room, and I just remember feeling very grown up and mature. I don't even know if I actually finished it. I might have just read the first few chapters, but yeah, that one's always stuck in my mind for some reason, even though it wasn't this beautiful edition. Question 10, name a book you acquired in an interesting way. I don't know about interesting for this one, maybe slightly embarrassing. It is All the Light We Cannot See by Anthony Doerr. I bought this when I was in San Francisco, and for some reason, after a 15-hour flight and like being awake for more than 24 hours, I had superhuman energy levels, and I was like, yeah, let's go to dinner, let's do some shopping. Naturally, I wound up at Barnes & Noble, browsing around, I had this in my hand, and suddenly my exhaustion just hit like a ton of bricks, and my hands were shaking, I started feeling lightheaded. And it was like in that moment, though, the book nerd part of my brain just took over and I could not just leave the store without buying a book. So I kind of deliriously went up to the front counter and the cashier was just really pushy and trying to get me to sign up for some kind of rewards program. I don't know what it was. And instead of just being calm about it and explaining the situation, kind of just snapped, saying something to the effect of, "I don't even live here?" And there was just this awkward silence, and she looked at me like I was insane, which I probably did seem like it. But you know, if someone says no, you should leave them alone. Question 11. Have you ever given a book away for a special reason to a special person? My sister is really the only massive book lover in my life, so yeah, I've given her a lot of books for birthday and Christmas gifts. And which book has been with you to the most places? That'd probably be a tie between the two Kingkiller Chronicles books, because I was working for an airline at the time while I was reading them, so they were a staple in my suitcase for several months. Question 13. Any required reading you hated in high school that wasn't so bad 2 years later? It was 6 or 7 years later, but it was Of Mice and Men. I had to read this in 9th grade, and I swear my 9th grade English teacher, like, hated literature, oddly enough, so it didn't make anything seem very compelling. But then luckily I was required to read it for a university lit class, and I had a great professor, and now it's probably one of my favorite books. And question 14 is used or brand new? I don't know, maybe neither for this one, because I get most of my books from the library, or I get them scratch and dent from like Book Outlet, but if I did have a good used bookstore near me, I would definitely prefer used. Question 15, confession time. Have you ever read a Dan Brown book? And yes, I have read 5 of them, only one of which I completely hated. I don't think they're terrible books at all. It's not embarrassing. I actually usually credit the Da Vinci Code with kind of getting me back into reading, kind of post Harry Potter. I mean, this was a while ago. YA was definitely not what it is today, so it was really great for making that jump into adult books when I was 14 or 15. Question 16. Have you ever seen a movie that you liked more than the book? Yes, definitely. So many of them. I actually think I'm gonna do a whole video on this because I really don't understand when people say that the book is always better. Just off the top of my head, The Martian, Practical Magic, 2001, A Space Odyssey, Jurassic Park. I know Adam mentioned that one as well. Question 17. Have you ever read a book that's made you hungry, cookbooks included? Like Water for Chocolate by Laura Esquivel. That's kind of a combination of a cookbook and a novel because there's recipes listed before each chapter and the descriptions of food are just out of this world. So delicious sounding. Who is the person whose book advice you'll always take? And again, my sister is one of the only big readers in my life, so I would definitely take hers. On BookTube here, there's a lot of people, but Kathleen Ann and Hillary from Your Robot Friend are definitely at the top of that. They have not steered me wrong yet. And also there's this older lady who works at the chapters near me who always gives amazing recommendations. And then the last question is there a book outside of your comfort zone or your usual reading genre that you ended up loving? I have no idea why, but short story collections like scare the crap out of me. I have only ever read one in my life before, and I'm really always hesitant to pick another one up, but as I said, I'm almost finished Margaret Atwood's collection called The Stone Mattress, and I'm absolutely loving it, so hopefully slowly getting over that fear. I don't know why it is. So that is it for the I Dare You book tag, and now I'm going to tag Jane from It's Jane Lindsay, Mel from Books with Wings, and Kathleen Ann. And of course anyone else who has not done it yet, I know it's been going around for a little bit, please feel free to. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again soon. Bye!